Hello, I'm Tom Hood, CEO of the Maryland Association of CPAs. This special update has been made right after our Managing Partners Summit last week. And I want to share with you some of the major developments in the profession, what's going on, what we're doing about them, and what you can do to help us. And I want to start with this idea of what I call the new math. So if you'll bear with me, I want to take you over here to our board and show you some statistics that are going on right now. So I want to start with, what's the cost of being a CPA today? And I want to share some things that might startle you, quite frankly. So let's start with a basic CPA license. In Maryland, license is $40, $80 every 2 years. So I'm doing this example on a per person basis. And if you had a 35 professional firm, which is a kind of mid-tier, decent-sized Maryland firm, what those would be. So 35 people, one person. So let's go down for each professional, what you've got, CPA license. Well, the P10, federal P10 coming out from this tax law is right now $64.25. And the developments on there is you have to get a P10, you have to re-get one, even if you have an existing one. You still have to refile by end of year, pay that fee. CPAs will be exempt from the testing and all the other requirements, which we worked on with the AICPA to exempt you from, but you will have to pay that. The CFPA, that's the Consumer Financial Protection Agency that came out of the Dodd-Frank Act, Wall Street Reform Act you might have heard about. Maryland Debt Counselors, that's a new one, and it's proposed to be about $150. And the Maryland Tax Preparation for any tax repairs, like the federal level, is also $150. So if you do the math there, that'd be $655.25 per year, plus the compliance cost of keeping all the records and doing anything like extra CPE and things that these agencies might require. Per firm, if you do that math per firm, it actually is $22,898.75. I'm sure I have your attention now. Now, the other part is sales tax on accounting and tax. If we take the average revenue per partner around $350,000, that could be on the low side actually, that would mean you're going to actually pay an extra $21,000 in sales taxes, which is what's being proposed for next year. And at a firm level, say $4 million in fees, that would be around $240,000. Now, in this economy, do you think you're going to be able to recoup that from your client, or will your client merely push you to discount and give back that 6%? That's kind of the question that's up in the air. So let's talk about kind of these. Well, the good news is this. First of all, you don't have to do that because we stopped that, and we stopped that. So you can see, do the math there, that's $550 per person that we save from laws that we actually amended or stopped this year. This one, we stopped last year. With your help, we can stop that one also. So I think it kind of gets to the notion of what's that, this gets like the MasterCard commercial, the value of MACPA membership, priceless, if we work together and use it. So let me give you some kind of updates here. P10, we're working on exempting your staff. We did make a lot of progress. It started with the IRS aggressively doing this over the summer, saying anyone who licked an envelope with a tax return in it would have to register, pay the fee, take the exam, and take CPE. We now have it to only those who substantially prepare the return. That would mean they're making decisions as opposed to just inputting data. So most of your staff will be exempt. If they're actually preparing the return, then they would have to be filing for that P10, and they should do that by year end. The good news is the exam's not going to happen for up to 3 years. And out of our managing partner meeting, one idea was to use this as an incentive to get your folks to get that exam, CPA exam, done so they can get fully exempted from this thing. So it's kind of a good incentive to use. All right, so, Consumer Financial Protection Agency, that came out of that new Wall Street Reform Act, the Dodd-Frank bill. We exempted CPAs and your staff from that filing requirement. Non-licensed CPAs, other financial planners, things like that will have to pay those fees and register with that new federal agency. Maryland Debt Counselors, this came at the end of session last year. It's an effort to regulate people who counsel folks on debt. The issue is they broadly defined debt. So we had CPAs, if anybody who counsels an individual or a business about debt, which CPAs do, had to be regulated. So we got you out of that bill. It's going to come back again this year. The bill actually got withdrawn. They said they would resubmit, so we're going to have to fight that one again this year. So this one, while you got out of it last year, we'll have to do it. And then Maryland Tax Prep, 2 years ago, Maryland did what the feds did, regulating non-licensed tax preparers. We exempted CPAs and all of your staff, so you got out of that one. So those are kind of the big issues that are going on. And if you kind of look at this, it gets to what is our agenda coming up. So this is our 2011 agenda. This is where kind of the overriding theme for this one is, do you want to be a participant or a victim? So participant, if we work, the association and you, we can influence or stop a lot of this. Victim, if we do nothing, we're going to be victims of whatever these regulators and legislators ultimately do. So here's what we got. Federal, again, we've been working on this for all year, especially over the summer. Continue pressure on the IRS for this PTIN to make sure we'd like to exempt all of your staff. That's kind of where we're headed. It might not be until next year. With Congress's help, we do that. The 1099 provision, this has gotten a lot of press. We've been instrumental in getting press in Maryland. The Chamber of Commerce is opposing it. So we've actually got our own Senator Cardin to sign on as a sponsor of that bill. And we hope that this one would be repealed certainly in the spring session of Congress, if not sooner. That's the 1099 provision for all business transactions over $600 that was thrown into the Health Care Act. I should note that real estate, there is a provision for rental real estate property to do the same thing. That will stay. That is not in the health care bill. And then finally, we're going to have to watch the amendments to the Dodd-Frank bill. One of the things that shocked our partners at our last meeting is, do you know how big the Sarbanes-Oxley bill was? That was kind of the last mega bill that affected us. 68 pages. The Dodd-Frank bill, 898 pages. And that bill has over 500 amendments, 90 congressional reports, and something like 50 departmental studies. So every one of those amendments has risk that could trickle down to us. Now, on the state level, we've got 4 major pieces of our agenda. This is beginning on 2011. And by the way, CPA Day is January 19th, 2011. We hope you'll bring a few folks from your firm to come and join us on that. So here's the agenda. Stop sales tax on accounting and tax services. More than likely, this bill will be put in, along with a lot of other tax bills. And the way it works in Maryland is pretty simple. Those who scream the loudest get out. Exempt CPAs from debt counseling. You already saw the math on that one. Pass the 120-150 exam requirement. That was kind of left over from last year. And we're working with the state board to do that. That will also help students get qualified faster to sit for the exam and ultimately become employees. And then finally, stop tort reform, or what we call frivolous lawsuits. The trial attorneys want to make it easier to sue you, so they put that legislation in every year. The other big ones is this standards. We've formed a special committee here at the MACPA, lots of firms, business and industry members, to deal with both the convergence of the FASB IASB standards and the private company financial accounting standards, which is also known as the Blue Ribbon Committee of the FAF, Financial Accounting Foundation. So what we're going to do here is our special committee is looking at it, but more than likely, there's 10 mega standards that are proposed to come out of this group in 2011. Things like changing the financial statement face itself to the point where it doesn't include net income. Revenue recognition, lease accounting, all those mega standards are in there. Now we believe, and feedback from our membership has been, these are going to swamp both the small business community, bankers it could confuse, and auditors and preparers. So we're thinking about, our committee will be proposing potentially alternatives to hitting everyone with this magnitude of change. And then the other thing is, we'll be weighing on this historical notion of private company standards, which for the most part our members significantly support, and we believe our committee will probably take that kind of a stance. But those are important, and this is an opportunity where we could actually hold off some pretty significant things if we can be successful advocating in that area as well. So those are the kind of big things. Now, what can you do to help us? Well, there are 5 ways you can help us continue to be extremely effective in our legislative and regulatory advocacy for you. Number one, encourage folks to attend CPA Day on January 19th, 2011 in Annapolis. Number two, contribute to our PAC, CPA. It's the CPA Committee for Political Action. That's what we use to give contributions to elected officials and give us the ability to build relationships and talk about the issues. Third, support us with 100% membership. Many of you and your firms are already doing this, but I've encouraged all of you to make sure all of your CPAs and potential CPAs are members or candidate members, because that database is how we execute our grassroots legislative contact program, both at the federal and the state level. Number four, help us with grassroots emails. We talked about being a participant or a victim at the beginning of this. So here's what it takes. When we send out that note that says, please send an email or make a phone call, that is the most effective way when we're in a critical voting situation. I'll give you one example. This summer, I was going up to the town hall in Aberdeen, Maryland, 7 o'clock in the morning, driving up 95, and I get a phone call from the AICPA saying there's a critical vote on the Specter amendment to the Dodd-Frank bill, and we had to contact CPAs for Senator Mikulski and Cardin. So not having a lot of time, we literally got to the town hall. I said, hey, gave the members the background, gave them the phone numbers, and we had 100 members contact Mikulski and Cardin. Turned out that those two votes were critical, defeating an amendment that would have created liability for all CPAs who are auditors and making you equal to the folks who commit a fraud. In other words, you would have a criminal penalty that was the same line as the people who actually perpetrate the fraud just because you couldn't catch it. Anyhow, that was a perfect example of grassroots in effect. Number five is support the Maryland Summit. On June 2nd and 3rd, especially on the 2nd, we asked many firms, the top 50 firms in Maryland, to contribute $1,500 to help us pay for a major reception for new CPAs and a swearing-in ceremony. That effort builds our relationship with the Maryland State Board of Public Accountancy and the Department of Labor Licensing and Regulation. Critical relationships and a critical event in kind of symbolizing the importance of CPA in today's economy. So those are the five things you can do to really help us. I hope this has been useful for you, and I hope that you'll continue supporting us. Thank you very much.